Hi everyone, Flora Sage here. Oh my goodness, so I have such a huge message for you today. As all of you know, I have been working with people for the last 22 years. I started my business way back in 97, and I started business coaching 10 years ago. So 22 years of personal coaching, 10 years of business coaching. I've seen a lot and heard a lot. And one of the biggest things that is a detriment to happiness is when you cast pearls before swine. So what does that mean, and what does that have to do with your happiness in life and in your business? So everyone has a certain standard in your life, okay? So you have a standard of the people that you hang out with, the cleanliness of your home, the type of content that you consume, the types of habits that you hold, and that's your standard. Like, I don't drink and drive, so if I'm gonna have a glass of wine, I know that I'm not gonna be driving. If I'm driving, I'm not even gonna take a sip. There's several other things, but when you compromise with those standards, that's when your happiness goes down. Another thing also is when you interact with people and you give to people who don't value what you have to give. And this is where the whole adage, don't cast pearls before swine. For years, I had no clue what that meant until I was working with a business coach of mine, and she recommended this book called The Go-Giver. And she was all about give. And I said, you know what? I've been giving for years, and it just seems like people just want the freebies. I'm sorry, Tank is coughing. Are you okay, bud? Oh, sweetie. And she's like, well, are you casting pearls before swine? I'm like, what does that even mean? She's like, are you sharing your knowledge with people who value the knowledge, or the people who just expect it and never expect to invest in a class or program? And I'm just like, well, and at that time, this was years and years ago, I said at that time, my list was full of the freebie people who only wanted the freebies and not truly had any intention of investing in themselves, in getting a class. I mean, what I touch in these videos is truly just the tip of the iceberg. There's so much more that I teach about business, about personal development, about spiritual development. And I was so frustrated. And she said, stop casting pearls before swine. Stop giving so much to people that aren't willing to invest in themselves. And it's not just financially, but invest in action and taking that action. And I've said this many times before, you can have all the knowledge in the world, but until you take action and action the knowledge that you know, nothing's going to change, And so when I really looked at my life back then, I said, okay, so not only in my business, but where in my life am I giving to people who don't value what it is that I'm sharing? And I noticed the energy of those interactions. I noticed when my energy would drop during an interaction, and I noticed the languaging of the person that I was giving to, and they were expecting, they were never really reciprocating, and it was such an eye-opener, and I was like, whoa. And then I noticed the interactions with the people who actually valued what I had to say or what I was sharing with them. And it was a night and day difference. And this is something that I integrate into my business. Yeah, I give free sessions, but if someone tells me right out of the gate, I don't have money right now for anything, then I'm like, okay, then I don't want to talk to you. Because I'm not saying if they don't have money, then I'll never talk to them. But for a coaching application, that truly is an application for someone to say, I've got the money, I've got the time, I have the drive to want something better, to want something more, and I'm willing to step up and make that change. I'm willing to make the investment. Because if they're just totally fine with the status quo, then they're not going to invest in me or 1,000 other people, because they're fine with where they're at. I mean, and I read so many applications every single day of people who want to coach with me. And if someone says, I don't have the money to invest in anything, not even myself, then that tells me that they don't see that they're worth something better. They're not even worth buying a book or getting some other type of knowledge to help them get out of where they're at. So I don't want to, I don't want that energy in my life. You know what I mean? And so when you can choose to be picky and you can choose to say, no, I've got a level of standard of people I interact with, that completely changes your life. And so much so, I actually have, one of my assistants, when she sees that people have booked sessions, like she just recently told me that there was someone who had like 5 sessions booked previously, and then that person again booked another free session, and she told them basically either shit or get off the pot. And that person said, well, I don't have any money. And I she kind of told me and stuff, and I'm just like, well, if that person would have actually done the work that I told them to do, they would have the money, because they would have been easily able to monetize what they're doing, which I've been coaching that person for several months. And so, it's just one of those things, is when you keep your energy in check and you recognize where your energy drops and where your energy stays the same or raises, that's going to tell you who's valuing what you are sharing with them and who's not valuing it, who just really wants to take. And so I've got my assistant that just says, I'm sorry that you're not willing to invest in yourself. And it's not just with me, it's with anybody. If they're not willing to invest in themselves in any way, shape, or form, I don't want to talk to them, because I only work with people who are willing to take actions. I have pro bono people who don't pay. They're free, but they take action. Like we jump on a call and they're like, this is what's going on. And it might be a 10 or 15 minute call, but they are ready to take action. And they're like, hell yeah. And they do it, and they come back and they come back. And then eventually they do sign up for a paid program. And it's not all about getting somebody to pay me. That's bullshit. It's about changing someone's life. And when you cast pearls before swine, when you give to people who are leeches, who just take and take and take and take, you are draining your life force. And you wonder why you don't have what you've always wanted. That's why. That is why. My cat is coming up to say hello. But if you start to raise the level of people that you hang out with and the people that you share what you love to share, then what happens is your life becomes this life that you're proud of, that you are so satisfied with, because you're not associating with people that just don't value you and your time. So I really want you to think about this. Think about those toxic people that you hang out with that just drain you, and they only come to you when they need something. They never change. They never make an investment in themselves. And like what I said, making an investment is not just financial. It's the time and effort. Like, you could Google anything you want and know how to do it, but you just have to say, okay, I know the information, but am I actually going to take action? That's where the rubber meets the road, and that's where you can see who's really in it to win it. This is your life that you have, and if you're not willing to invest in yourself, invest in time, invest in research and Googling something or YouTube something or taking a class or reading a book, why should anybody else invest time in you? Really? Why? And some people might get pissed off with this. Fine, please get pissed off. Please get pissed off. Because I'm here to tell you, 22 years of working with people, no one has ever changed that has come to me and said, I don't have any money for anything, but I want you to do it all for me. And I'm just like, I can't. You're the only one that can do things for you. And I've known people that have had nothing. And they've said, I want out of what I have now. Help. And I'm like, okay, so let's look at the opportunities that you do have. You have the library, you have Google, you have YouTube, okay? You have all the free videos on YouTube. You have all the free stuff on Google. You've got all those articles and all the other stuff, okay? So if you really wanted something bad enough, you're going to invest in your time, which is the one thing that we cannot get back, and you're going to start to climb out of where you are. I know, because that is what happened to me. I was on food stamps. I was a single mom with 2 kids, and I had no money, but I did have a car, and I had a job that was very low paying, and then I had access to the library. And I went to the library and I read book after book after book. And I was like, okay, and I learned, I invested time in myself in reading, listening to books on tape. Now they're audiobooks, but I allowed myself to invest in myself and in my future. So really ask yourself, am I investing time in people that are just sucking me dry? Okay? Am I casting pearls before swine? And if you are, this is a wake-up call. Stop, because they're wasting your time and you're wasting your time. All right? So if you are done wasting time and you truly want a change in your life or in your business, I offer both types of coaching. What I want you to do is click the link below, fill out the coaching application, and we'll talk. All right? This is your one life. Make it count. Mwah. All right. Bye.